So, I am Jason.
I'm Craig.
I'm Ross.
Hi, Ross.
Hi.
This is the CryptoCrane Cast. It is
Episode 2.
Episode 2, available now on iTunes, Google Play Music, and SoundCloud, and Pocket Cast, and YouTube, and our Facebook.
It's everywhere.
I think you hit it.
Yeah, that's everywhere. So,
Worldwide.
just get used to our voices and faces. We will keep doing this for infinity. We'll get right into it. So, the last couple of weeks since we podcasted, a couple of things went down. Most importantly, and first of all, being ETFs. Bitcoin jumped up to $8,400
roughly. Yep. It's slightly under 8K again at this point, but
it's still better than I think what a lot of people expected.
And it didn't dip nearly as far down as people expected.
Right. Well, that might be happening right now, but we'll see.
Yeah, crash and burn. News for 2 weeks from now.
We were accurate for all of 10 minutes.
as is typical with crypto.
So yes, ETFs. Two news stories. One, the SEC decided to delay the decision on the Direxion ETFs. There are 5 of them total.
Including one from the Winklevi.
No, that's not the Direxion one. Those are the different ones.
Yep.
Coinbase. Well, no, the Gemini one.
Let's sit the next few plays out.
Anyway, did you read which ETFs they're doing? They're like, we've got the bearish ETF, and then you've got like the 1.25, 2 times, and 3 times triple leveraged ETFs of Bitcoin.
Yeah, the best ones.
Man, can't wait to see those on Wall Street Bets.
Those are gonna be the best.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the SEC is putting it on hold. They usually have to come up with their response 6 months after the fact. They pulled some clause that they have.
Yeah, there was one very tiny clause at the very end of the initial agreement that said pretty much at their discretion, if they decide they need more information, they're not sure about something, they didn't have a good sandwich that day, literally for whatever reason they wanted, they're like, yeah, we can tack on 60 more days to sit and bill people by the hour and just talk about this stuff as only important people can.
More pressing was that they actually turned down the Winklevi ETF. Winklevi ETF, which this is not their first attempt at doing this.
And I doubt it'll be their last.
Right. So let's first talk about what an ETF is, because I think a lot of people probably don't know what those are. ETF stands for Exchange Traded Fund. That basically just means that it's a fund that attempts to mimic or build in a subset of assets that it can track. So kind of like an index fund, but an ETF often has very low maintenance fees, which are good. Those take out of your profit. But let's say in this case, a Bitcoin ETF, if you wanted to invest in Bitcoin, you could do it by purchasing this ETF, shares of this ETF, just like you would any other stock or index fund or anything else through your regular brokerage. You could even put some of your 401k into it if it was an official thing.
Or all of your 401k.
Oh yeah, I did it yesterday. Don't tell my wife.
She probably won't watch this.
Hi, Amelia.
So
She better watch this.
She better watch this.
One of the reasons that
Riveting stuff.
one of the reasons that people are so bullish when people talk about these ETFs and cryptocurrency is that there is literally trillions of dollars in traditional financial instruments that would then have the option, the choice to easily put some of that into Bitcoin, which would pump the price. Mm-hmm. So that's the end of that story. They really want that to happen so that they could use 401ks and whatnot to
easy way for a lot of people to invest a lot of money very quickly.
Sure. Yep. And honestly, I could see myself putting a small percentage of my 401k into crypto if it was an ETF. Just because I do think that cryptocurrencies are the future of money, and I don't know when or which one, but I think that there's so much potential in the technology that it's just obvious to me. But
is this only a matter of time?
I believe so, but history will tell.
Pure speculation, disclosure. Why do you think the SEC is dragging their heels?
They very clearly said that at the moment they do not believe that they can adequately detect manipulation, which, as anyone who's paid attention to Bitcoin knows, that happens every day, all around the world, 24/7.
Right.
So they have a valid point. It also makes me kind of pessimistic that the next round of ETFs have any chance of succeeding. So fortunately, there are a lot of really big players in the market, like the Winklevoss twins and a bunch of other exchanges and Direxion even, who are trying their best to find ways to detect manipulation and essentially provide the same sort of transparency that current exchanges have to cryptocurrencies. I think we'll get there. There was a dissenting opinion on the SEC. There's a Republican-appointed commissioner that this is not normal for an SEC person to actually write a dissenting opinion, so it was kind of a mildly big deal. But he basically said that this is stifling innovation, and this is not good. So cryptocurrencies should be able to be in an ETF, was his opinion. So. There's
her opinion.
Their opinion.
Her opinion.
I don't know what exactly it was.
The person's opinion.
The person's opinion. You're right.
The person's opinion. She should be chair of the SEC.
Apparently.
So your wife is angry at you too, huh?
Apparently, a few of those commissioners are either past their regular appointment date or are scheduled to have new people appointed for their positions in the near future. So it could just be a matter of nothing changing in crypto side, and maybe just the people who are
turns.
Right, the people who are sitting on the board might be changed. So we'll see. Who knows if the new people will be any more friendly to crypto? That's a.
They should get John McAfee on that board and GI.
Oh, Lord.
Yes.
Hang on.
ETFs for
It's going to
everybody.
be a wild ride.
Yeah. Right. SEC claims he's going to, or SEC commissioner claims he's going to eat his own dick again. So that's a typical John
That's a
McAfee.
John McAfee quote there.
If he ever emerges
Look
from
it up.
the
That's
Latin
a real
American jungle
thing.
he's currently hiding in.
Right. I'm sure.
He's bouncing from jungle to jungle. It's fine. He loves it.
You could do worse.
Loves
You could do better.
The man's a visionary.
Yeah, peyote will do that. Next question, actually personal shout out time. Chris in Oregon. Hey buddy, how are you? Ross. Day/swing trading as it pertains to cryptocurrencies. Abrupt segue alert, by the way. If you wouldn't mind, give us your thoughts, your feelings, your opinions.
Oh, okay. Well,
Beforehand, the difference between day trading and swing trading. Day trading is YOLOing in the middle of the day as many times as you can, as quickly as you can.
That's right.
Swing trading's a little bit slower, where it's a couple days up to about a week where you hold on to
right.
stuff.
Almost long-term capital gains.
Yeah. Trying to get all that into that 15% range.
Yeah. Good luck. So
John McAfee swing trades for sure.
That's right.
So, in my opinion, day trading and swing trading is gambling, and as is most.
I have heard you allude to it as such. Pretty much any sort of investing at that point.
I mean, yeah, sure. There's always a gamble, but I think that this one is more like traditional gambling. Just I'll put 50 on red, please. That's day trading. So,
Okay.
in my opinion, I think that the people who are attracted to that see crypto and they're like, oh mama, 24/7, no regulation, manipulation rampant, and I can do this 1,000 times a minute.
Digital riverboat gambling.
Right. Yeah. So it's really interesting. I think the swing traders are much more into like the trend analysis. The hey, I see some momentum here. I'm going to see how long I can ride this.
Trying to divine some pattern from it.
And a lot of people make a lot of money doing this, but many, many, many poor people lose a lot of money doing this. So, it's if you're susceptible to gambling addiction, I would recommend staying far, far away. So,
Very noble of you.
yeah, most investments I would recommend buy and hold long-term strategy, but that's or in cryptocurrency, buy and use use the cryptocurrency. That's how you increase adoption. A lot of people always ask like, okay, well, once I buy and hold it and I just hold it and it does nothing, how is that useful to the cryptocurrency? It's not. You should decide a portion, if you want to invest, you should decide what percentage of your portfolio you want to be in cryptocurrency. Let's say it's 5%. Let's say that equals $5,000 worth. Now, when you find a place that accepts cryptocurrency, which there are many now, use that cryptocurrency and immediately replenish your cryptocurrency at the same moment so that you are still always at that 5,000 roughly dollar mark if you're pegging it to the dollar in this case. But that increases adoption. It teaches these merchants that, hey, people actually want to use this, and
It's
the
worthwhile
merchants
to be able to support.
right.
Sure.
The merchants benefit by having zero fraud, possibilities. There's no chargebacks, and they pay almost nothing to any sort of middleman credit card processing or bank. They may pay
A slight transaction to whatever
fee.
exchange they use.
Yeah, going from an exchange, converting it into whatever currency they want, but that's still far below what they're paying the credit card companies right now. So,
Not bad. Not bad.
So do we call swing traders swingers from now on? Is that where this goes?
That's good. Only the partiers. We know a couple of those.
Yeah. My girl likes to party all the time. Another abrupt segue. We'll get better at the segue game one day. We are going to go to our new segments. What the F is a Bitcoin?
Yeah.
Because I know what a Bitcoin is. You know what a Bitcoin is.
I have a loose understanding of what a Bitcoin is.
I have like 8 of them in my pocket right now.
yeah, magic internet money. It's
Yeah.
fine.
Yeah, I got a couple from one of those little quarter-operated vending machines outside of TGI Fridays just last week.
I love when people are just like, it's math, and then they leave that explanation. I'm like, thanks. I don't think anyone knows anything more now.
Everything.
I don't know
It's
math
true.
either, so it doesn't help me.
Right. Nor do most people who use Bitcoin, so it's fine.
So we figured, starting a new segment, we should start with an episode titled Episode 0. What is money even?
Prologue, basically.
Oh.
Yeah,
Right.
explaining how money and currency even works, because if you don't understand how money works, you're going to have a much harder time understanding how cryptocurrency works
Right.
and where it gets its value from.
Right. And also why we have money, not just how. So,
Because if I want my nipples pierced, it's real hard to trade a tattoo artist chickens for it.
I was going to say, I can't do enough jumping jacks to make the nice man at the store give me brown liquor. So
Yeah.
money is pretty much the only option.
Yep. So, I'll try and tackle this. Imagine thousands of years ago, and I grow corn. Everyone likes corn. You have cows. Everyone likes cows. I want some cows, though. You want some corn? I will give you some of my corn. You give me some of the cows. We just bartered. Hooray.
It's a trading system.
We trade, yeah, and it worked really well between two people, especially when they both wanted what each other had.
It's a touch of foreshadowing there, by the way.
Right. So what happens when I want cows, but you don't want corn? Let's say you want chickens. So I got to go over to the guy with the chickens and hope he wants some corn so I can get some chickens so I can come back and trade you some chickens for some cows. And, that gets a little complicated real quick. Fortunately, back then, communities were pretty small and it wasn't probably too difficult to get what you needed. However, as society and culture and our financial system has grown, there was a need for an agreed upon intermediary commodity that everyone could agree on that had worth and value that you could use to transport easily and divide easily and just pay for things.
A universal representation
Yeah,
of some
exactly.
fixed value.
Right. So
Very inconvenient splitting a chicken in half.
right. Yeah.
It depends on what end you get, I guess.
So let's say they use feet. Let's say they use seashells or something in an early, thing, some special seashell that's difficult to find, and you could go wait in the water all day and look for them, but probably not going to find a ton of them. Whatever.
Will that be called mining for shells?
Yes. Shell coin.
Oh, well done.
Yeah.
Oh, shell coin. ICO coming soon.
Don't read the white paper, or do.
We'll pump it and dump it before you have a chance. Don't worry.
So, you've got these shells, and I can now hold these shells in whatever, my satchel or whatever, and I can walk around with them, and I can pay for things without having to barter, and do a lot more complex trading and quickly and make it easy. So a lot of advantage to that. Eventually, government said, hey, that's a great idea, and we're going to print our own coin, create our own coins, and they're gonna, we're gonna have to make them though so that they aren't easy to, forge and reproduce, so we're gonna make them out of gold and silver, something that's malleable, shiny, it looks pretty.
And rare.
Otherwise
you could have somebody just hammering out little shells of rock.
Yeah. Turns out
these are good. These are...
Yeah. Turns out someone found an island where all those shells are. He's rich now, and I don't have any faith in that money anymore. So, yeah, gold has worked, for 5,000 plus years, to work as a medium of wealth exchange, and turning those into coins was, a great innovation at the time. And eventually they started mixing other metals, and you started getting, gold and silver and gold and copper mixed together, and eventually just copper and all sorts of things. But you get even more complex when, let's say, I'm about to move from where I am now to 20 miles away, which back then was a big deal. So I'm going to go, to the bank that's holding all of my coins right now and take them out and carry them in a bag and walk across
like half a ton of coin, please.
Yeah, walk across the desert with that and, try not to get robbed? I don't think so. So, fortunately, banks are pretty smart. At least they were back then, and
you can't argue they are now.
They'd have relationships between each other, and they would trust each other, and they could essentially write you a bank note that said, hey, Ross there has 20 tons of these darn coins. He doesn't need to carry them because I vouch for him. And I could take that slip of paper, and I could walk to the new place and give that to the other bank, and they could, say, hey, you've got those 20 tons of coins now in your ledger.
It's a certified IOU between banks.
Exactly, yeah. So that, is the first, kind of paper money that we ever had. And eventually people would just start trading those banknotes instead of ever depositing them into the bank and withdrawing the substance behind them that gave it the intrinsic value. So enter, modern day economics where, for hundreds of years, governments tied their currencies to a valuable, commodity such as gold or silver or whatever in quote unquote Fort Knox somewhere. We eventually get to the point where our governments decided, no, you know what? We don't need to do that anymore. We're going to go completely fiat. We're going to basically just declare that this money has value because we say it has value. And so 1973, we leave the gold standard, and our money becomes essentially faith-based. We believe it has value because other people believe it has value, and we believe that system will continue to work. However, governments like more money and more power, and one of the ways that they do that is by printing more money.
Who doesn't?
Yeah, and now that they don't have to have a valuable substance that's auditable behind, guarded somewhere, they can essentially just print as much money as they want and enter inflation. And that's one of the things that really irks the people who created a lot of these cryptocurrencies. They see it as an unsustainable system that just can't last the test of time. And, they don't know necessarily if that's going to last 10 more years or 1,000 more years, but the belief is that it can't go on forever. And so a lot of the people who created these cryptocurrencies created arbitrary limits saying that there will never be more than X number of Bitcoins in existence. For Bitcoin, it's 21 million. However, they're divisible by a lot, so even at if all of the world's currencies were to convert into Bitcoin, the smallest unit, 1 Satoshi, would still be relatively worthless, which is important. So a lot of people look at the Bitcoin stuff and say, well, there's only 21 million of them. How will it ever grow? And it's like, well, it doesn't really need to. It's a deflationary, currency in a sense. Well, how do you encourage people to use a deflationary currency? If it continues to increase in value over time, why not just hold on to it? That's a good question. I don't have best answer to that. Or I'm sure there are good answers, but
Well, the good news is, regardless of the increase in value, you would still be able to spend, for lack of a better term, an incremental value at whatever you want. At
Exactly.
0.01837 today, 0.10189 tomorrow, whatever.
right.
So
Right. You're right. So as the value exchange, you would just spend whatever it costed at that moment on whatever goods you needed.
Right.
So I think the larger macroeconomic question is, how do you encourage spending beyond just what's needed if people are fearful that their currency will be worth more tomorrow, well, hopeful that the currency will be worth more tomorrow than it is today. I don't personally see that as a problem. It's just a fundamentally different way of looking at money than we do currently.
that's it for us, folks. Good night.
So there you go. Our current money that we are used to transacting with every day, the U.S. dollar in our case, it's basically has value and use because everyone else agrees that it has value and use.
And the government, U.S. government, says it has that.
Sure. Yeah.
Value.
We could go deeper into the National Treasury and Federal Reserve and where that money.
Nicolas Cage.
At its finest.
The way that fractional reserve banking is just making money explode exponentially in terms of quantity, which will eventually lead to inflation. But at the moment, in 2018, inflation seems like it's pretty well under control. But who knows? We've seen, things go from good to really bad pretty quickly in the past. So a lot of people use cryptocurrencies as a way to hedge against the potential failure of currencies or just geopolitical instability in general. A lot of people have traditionally used gold and silver for these things, but in the modern era where gold and silver can't easily buy you something on Amazon, cryptocurrency may be a really good alternative to those, if you are, again, trying to hedge against future instability. So
Right, it'd be interesting because in 2008, when the Great Recession happened,
yeah,
gold, silver skyrocketed.
Right.
It'd be interesting in the Great Recession of 2022
yeah, whatever.
if
What do you
you
know?
see.
What are you even holding up? Oh, yeah, sorry. He doesn't know anything.
If crypto, Bitcoin, Ethereum, Litecoin, whatever one decides to win, or
All
be
of
more, sure. If those start spiking hard,
Yeah, I think that you'll see almost all commodity-based stores of wealth would spike, in terms of times of instability. So, all metals and such, and cryptocurrency, I think, will be right along with them, probably exponentially faster than those things because it's much easier to move your money into them than it is to go buy a big chunk of gold. So, yeah.
Good answer. That actually lends itself nicely as the perfect transition point. Tune in next week for episode 1. So, no, really, what is a Bitcoin?
Satoshi who?
Good subtitle.
Yeah, that's a good one there.
On to news and current events.
All right, first up on the news. I'm Walter Matthau. It appears that Coinbase is enabling the ability to purchase gift cards for different stores using cryptocurrency, specifically in Europe and Australia, coming out a couple more months to other ones. The interesting thing is Coinbase is partnering with WeGift. They're a London-based fintech startup for the new service that allows users to fundamentally withdraw their cryptocurrency into gift cards that can be used over 120 retailers, including Uber, Amazon, Tesco, among others. WeGift says that there's zero swap fees alongside, and you get about an average of 5% additional gift card money to cryptocurrency use. So, for instance, if you use $100 worth of Bitcoin to buy a Amazon gift card, you would get a $105 Amazon
yeah.
bucks. And Coinbase says that customers purchasing an e-gift card will enjoy 0 Coinbase withdrawal fees and bonuses on select e-gifts.
It's essentially the crypto version of taking a 25-pound plastic bag full of change to a Coinstar, dumping it in and saying, as opposed to getting cash back with a 10 or 11 or 12% fee or whatever it is, I'll just take a gift card instead.
Yep. Yep.
I think it's a great idea.
Me too.
You know,
it answers the previous question of how do I use my crypto to buy a thing?
Yeah, right.
Make it actually functional currency.
Yep. So rather than waiting for the giant players like Amazon to start accepting cryptocurrencies natively, you know, why not just buy their own centralized cryptocurrency known as Amazon gift cards? So that's essentially what they are.
Yeah.
You know, it's Amazon bucks. They can print as many as they want and hand them out and trade them for US dollars. And, well, you know, they're pretty close to one-on-one with the US dollar, because you try and buy an Amazon gift card somewhere, you're not going to discount usually. Using cryptocurrencies for gift cards, I've done that using, so some of these sites such as Gift.com, GYFT, used to accept Bitcoin for, they still do accept Bitcoin for multiple types of crypto, or for multiple types of gift cards. Amazon, though, unfortunately, created a policy recently saying that no one could resell Amazon gift cards anymore. You had to buy Amazon gift cards through them, which made it difficult for a lot of those companies who Amazon was probably their number one gift card, you know, in terms of popularity. You know, a lot of people like me who used to buy Amazon gift cards using crypto no longer have an option to. If Coinbase is able to reestablish that connection using WeGift or, you know, anyone else, that's phenomenal. That's great news.
That would be
added exposure too, just getting people used to the concept of using cryptocurrency as a currency.
Yep.
Plus, I mean, who doesn't like a bonus?
Yep. Yeah, I mean, they're not paying credit card transaction fees.
It's a good sign. The article very, very fledglingly alluded to the fact that there is a plan to expand, and the word potential was used a couple different times, potentially in a U.S. market sort of thing. But I'm not going to hold my breath that it'll happen before the turn of the decade.
It's probably wise.
Thank you.
Next up, Bitmain publishes their hash rates and saying it's just 4% of total Bitcoin mining power. Specifically, Bitmain says its company-owned hardware is mining 3 algorithms only: SHA-256 at 1692 petahash, Fhash at 339 gigahash, and Script at 44 gigahash.
Everyone get all that?
Oh, they must have forgot.
At the end.
They must have forgot Antpool.
No, because they don't own Antpool. It's different.
Yeah. So
idiot.
A lot of people obviously are raising their eyebrows at this because Bitmain is known to control a few different pools, Antpool primary amongst them, that make up nearly 50% of the Bitcoin mining hashing rate globally. Why is that an issue? Because anyone who controls more than 50% essentially controls Bitcoin.
Now you say known to. It's not established, just highly suspected.
Yeah, it's not super easy to just know who's mining. So and
it probably wouldn't be wise for them to come right out and say, "Yeah, we got over half of it."
Right.
If you want Bitcoin to be crippled and
here's the thing.
Die instantly.
Really, what they get if you were to control more than 50%. It would, first of all, destroy the value of the thing that you're invested in, because, you know, if someone, you erode the faith that someone is not able to double spend the Bitcoin, because that's what you could do if you had more than 51% of the hashing rate. You could spend your Bitcoin at the same time multiple places at once, and, you know, basically, since your blocks will statistically always make the longest block chain, you could basically say, yeah, both of those transactions are good. Why would you do that? It would probably be someone who wants, you know...
Some people just want to see the world burn.
Yeah. I don't think that's what Bitmain's doing here, but that's my personal belief. They sell hosted mining power, and I don't think that they're counting that in this figure. I think that the vast majority of the mining hash rate that they control is actually is owned by individual retail investors like us. So the people that are looking at this with raised eyebrows are saying, yeah, but if you wanted to, you could reconfigure all those miners to do whatever you wanted. And it probably would be pretty arbitrary for you to do so.
Sure.
So
if I wanted to, I could mix up some gasoline and styrofoam pellets and burn my garage down too.
Right. And that would be
really easy to make.
Yep. And with Bitmain attempting to go public and launch their own IPO in the near future, transparency is going to be required. I think that people like having a bad guy. I think people like looking for a villain, and I think that Bitmain is an easy target for that. Personally,
Jihan Wu is the Joker. Confirmed.
Yeah, that's how a lot of people see him. I think he's probably gotten a bad rap. He's opinionated, but if anyone was around in the Bitcoin mining scene in 2013 or earlier, they know that there was just company after company after company that came on the market selling vaporware hardware and not delivering and essentially scamming millions of people out of a lot of money. And then there comes Bitmain, the first company that really delivered on their promises by shipping on time.
That's novel.
Oh, they actually sent the thing that you paid them for?
Yeah, right out of time. It was literally like groundbreaking at the time. Butterfly Labs had strung tens of thousands of customers along for months, and all the ones that were based here in the US have been sued into oblivion at this point. It was really kind of sad. There was like 3 big ones that attempted to make legit ASIC mining hardware and didn't go so well. Anyway, Bitmain was the one that came along and actually delivered on their promise. They seemed sketchy at first because they were doing like email orders and their website was really not that great. They had like Gmail addresses, but they were actually shipping and delivering exactly what they said they were. They were on spec and on time and at the price that they said they were, and that was, to me, I still remember that as going, wow, finally. I wish it was someone here in the US, but
round about what year are you talking about?
2013.
Right now? Okay.
Yeah. So then 2014 they just kept getting better and better and better and better, and ever since then they've just owned the market, because they're really good at it. And also they sell their devices, at a cheaper rate than per hashing rate than their competitors, and so their competitors are struggling to even get, their foot in the door at this point. Fortunately, as of this year, there are 2 or 3 better competitors that are coming on the market that are actually giving Bitmain a little bit of competition. So I believe competition is a good thing, and
yeah, I've heard
that's I'm excited to see where that goes.
Right on.
So,
if I may, again, I broadcast once or twice in the previous episode about how I am, for lack of a better term, very much a noob when it comes to this stuff. But there was something interesting in this article that, if you don't mind, I would love hearing you expound on just a little bit. And that is the concept of mining an empty block.
Oh, yes.
Which is one of the things that it was theorized that Bitmain could have been doing, could be doing, will do something.
Is doing, was doing.
Right. Yeah, so this relates to ASIC Boost, which is a technology that a lot of people suspect Bitmain has been using for years. And it basically allows them to leverage the underlying hashing algorithm, SHA-256 in this case for Bitcoin, and very quickly, after solving a block, solve another block that's empty, and therefore reaping the reward of the block reward. So at the moment 12.5 Bitcoins, and by exploiting this technology, I'm going to call it, they're able to game the system a little bit. It was supposed to be somewhat negated with the implementation of SegWit back in segregated witness back in Bitcoin when it forked in 2017 August. So it's still not clear to me if anybody is actively mining empty blocks. We do see empty blocks come through occasionally, which doesn't make sense since Bitcoin has been overloaded transaction-wise for for a long time, you would expect every block to be nearly full, which would help reduce fees, but yeah, that's what mining an empty block does. And if they're doing it, then people would argue that it's harmful to the Bitcoin ecosystem.
Sure.
So I also believe that water runs downhill, and it's probably if there's a way, then there's people doing it. So
Okay, but I'm going to try not to put words in your mouth as I put words in your mouth. You alluded to the fact that there are a handful of instances of this happening.
yeah, I mean we've
but
seen it.
not on quite such a grandiose scale as would indicate, okay, maybe Bitmain is doing some of this nefarious stuff that they're being accused of.
From how I understand it, if they were actively trying to do this, we would see a lot more empty blocks than we do.
Okay.
But like I said, I'm not an expert in that level, so check smart.
Could have fooled me.
Yeah. So
Fair enough.
All right. Binance partners with Malta presidency to launch the blockchain charity foundation. Statement released by the president of Malta. I'm truly pleased that we have come to the signing of this memorandum of understanding with the Blockchain Charity Foundation. This foundation, the first of its kind in the world, will develop humanitarian projects to effectively address the United Nations Agenda 2030 and its sustainable development goals, blah, 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 blah.
yeah, sounds
Neat.
Yeah, it is. I want to poke a couple holes in here first. Again, I'm not an expert on this, but I am, literate. The stated purpose of this partnership is, and I quote, through an MOU signing ceremony, will supposedly use the technology that underlies cryptocurrencies to empower vulnerable communities and enhance transparency in charitable work. That's why this partnership was announced. Now, the key objectives stated later in this article are to advocate about blockchain technology and its application to address issues of sustainability in a humanitarian and environmental setting, to empower especially youth and children. Also, to improve public awareness of the comprehensive usage of blockchain and its impact on society and economy. And finally, to jointly establish a workforce targeting local and regional issues by implementing pilot projects and other initiatives with a blockchain technology component. Now, full disclosure, I think those are three great goals. Taken on their own, that's a great pursuit. That in no way, shape, or form, however, ties back to the objective of empowering vulnerable communities and enhancing transparency in charitable work. So, what the hell?
Sounds like Binance wanted to be in the news.
Okay.
A little bit, but Binance has no trouble being in the news. They're pretty big. They're one of the most popular exchanges right now, which is where you can buy and sell lots of different cryptocurrencies, exchange them for dollars, yada yada yada. My suspicious side, suspicious nature,
What do you think we have you here
looks
for?
at this as more of a business opportunity for them. So imagine you're spending X number of dollars on advertising. What would be a better way to advertise? What would be a better way to spend those dollars? Well, what if those dollars were tax deductible? What if we created our own charity and then made the charity's purpose to essentially advertise for us, and then funded that charity with those dollars and then used that as a write-off? That's just the way I'm thinking, but I
So it's
don't.
the crypto version of the Derek Zoolander Center for kids who want to learn to do stuff good or whatever it is.
Yeah,
Okay.
I do not know if that's really what they're doing. Maybe that's just the cherry on top, and they actually really,
Okay.
Also, the empowering youth and underserved and whatever.
Yeah.
The only thing that occurs to me is that those people are typically underbanked, and cryptocurrency is a way to get them involved in the economic flow of things without necessarily requiring legitimate bank accounts. So there could be some advantages there. I don't see this as all black and white, but it certainly rings a little bit like someone tooting their own horn a little bit loud.
Sure. And again, those three objectives, those are good objectives. Increasing exposure, proactively seeking out ways to inundate a market with crypto-based opportunities to both buy and sell. That's fine. Helping people learn about it is probably, at least right now, across the board, it should be the number one goal for any country, state, city, whatever you want to call it, getting people exposure to that, helping them learn about that. That's huge. So again, not bad stuff. It didn't add up to me.
I kind of feel this is similar to when you hear about Apple or Samsung donating thousands and thousands of tablets subsidized to schools. What's their real motive? Sure, they're helping education. They really do believe in education. However, they're also making these students familiar with their technology and influencing
Ingraining them in their ecosystem.
Yeah, and influencing their future purchases.
Slightly less nefarious version of what the formula companies used to do back in the day in impoverished areas. But we won't go down that road.
yeah. I don't think it's so nefarious. I think that it's just good business at this point. So
that's fair. They get some good PR out of it.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody might get turned on to crypto and take it mainstream. Speaking of mainstream, let's talk about Iran.
No, too far.
Too far.
I fat fingered it. I had one job and I blew it on my second day.
That was almost going to be our perfect seamless transition.
Yeah, almost. Next, we'll have to go on a different voyage. Speaking of voyage, Voyager,
good,
which is
maybe the best Star Trek show.
Oh yeah, I loved it.
The Stars and Fights.
Captain Janeway.
Ross knows what's up.
7 of 9.
Ross knows what's up.
No, okay, I understand 7 of 9. I have 2 legs and a pulse. Speaking of a pulse, Uber co-founder and E-Trade vet launch a zero-fee cryptocurrency trading platform called Voyager. Voyager aims to capitalize on the fragmentation in the global cryptocurrency spot market. It competes directly with Coinbase and Robinhood. The CEO, Stephen Elric, said in an interview with Fortune that the firm will profit from the spread between the price quoted to traders and the price to which the underlying trade is actually settled.
AKA the fee is built into the price you see.
Yep. It has a formal launch period of October. It's currently in beta. Voyager aims to officially launch with support of at least 15 cryptocurrencies, primarily large cap cryptocurrencies with high trading volumes. That's more than Coinbase, which only has 4, and Robinhood, which has 5.
But both are planning to expand.
Yes, both are planning to expand.
So again, I don't have the best grasp of all this stuff. Reading the description, it struck me that this is basically Kayak, but for crypto trading.
I'm not familiar with Kayak.
Kayak.com? The aggregate site for, originally it was plane tickets. They were able to pull information from all the major airline carriers and find best prices according to what you want. Now they've expanded into hotels and cars.
Yeah.
We are no way affiliated with Kayak.com. However, having used their website many, many times, I appreciate their service.
Do they accept crypto?
Not yet.
Can I get a gift card? Kayak gift card?
I'll work on it.
All right.
So to understand the importance of something like this, you have to first understand that there are dozens and dozens of exchanges out there that sell and allow people to buy and sell cryptocurrencies. Not all of them have as much liquidity as the others. So when you need to purchase a lot of cryptocurrency and you go to an exchange, you may inadvertently cause the price on that exchange to skyrocket because you bought so much more than the supply is available there. So what it sounds like Voyager is attempting to do is be a router between all of the different exchanges and solve a lot of those liquidity issues when you buy on one exchange. So instead of having to create a bunch of different accounts on a bunch of different exchanges, you could essentially purchase on one exchange, and this Voyager platform would potentially level out liquidity across the entire, all the exchanges that it's connected with. That could be really powerful. I think it's genius from the business perspective on their side. They are essentially crowdsourcing their own liquidity for using arbitrage opportunity. So they're making money by, when you see a price on the exchange, they know that they can probably connect to another exchange that has it slightly cheaper. And when you buy Bitcoin here, let's say you buy it on Coinbase and Binance, has it cheaper, they can quickly arbitrage the two and take the difference and sell you the price that you see on Coinbase, but it only costs them what they paid on Binance. And by doing so, they're able to make money. I think it's a great idea from a business perspective, and it solves somewhat of a problem that exists on exchanges. So I think of it as a value add, and I hope it's successful. So,
Groovy. Really quickly though, before we move on, I would just like to point out a passage in the article that we were just talking about, which is just the perfect example of useless PR fluff that sounds really good but says nothing. One of the gentlemen involved in this little endeavor was on the record as stating, "We don't think crypto has been adopted yet by the masses in the United States," which will file under duh. "I believe the market space itself is extremely large." Well, we think the opportunity for both retail and institutional is vast, and we want to be part of that and help the industry grow and be good citizens to the industry.
Does this guy think he's at Shark Tank or something?
It's quite a pitch stuff. Those are all really good and positive, uplifting words. It means the market is nascent. This is a very, very new thing, and hey, we're just happy to be along for the ride. That sort of
along for the ride, and he's part of Uber. I like it.
I didn't even think about it.
Good work.
I always came from a marketing background.
I instantly get suspicious when I see the headline start off by like someone from Uber and someone from this other thing getting together to make. I'm like, so you have to, like, your product is so not good enough to stand on its own legs that you have to rely on the credibility of these other things. Like, I don't know. That's just
devil's advocate. Calling attention to the fact that there are ties to well-known entities like Uber and E-Trade is just establishing familiarity in the mind of the person that's reading it. It's cheap isn't quite the right word. That's a little too strong.
I think it's cheap.
It is a feeble ploy. You're right. Yeah. If the concept was strong enough to stand on its own, obviously they wouldn't have to do that. It could be included as a footnote at the very end of the article. Oh, by the way, these guys were involved in Uber and E-Trade once upon a time.
You know what?
This other thing is so awesome. We don't even need to talk about that.
If they worded it that way and put it at the end, I would actually find that more convincing personally. Like, that'd be like, oh, well, that's amazing. I'm glad you didn't just rely on that. I don't know.
Shots fired.
Yeah.
Speaking of shots fired.
No.
Oh.
Is that not the segue I should have chosen?
No, it's good.
I like it. Let's go.
Iran.
If we abandon Iran, I mean, well.
Iran, much like historical Venezuela, is preparing to launch its own indigenous state cryptocurrency that the authorities envision will help the country circumvent the latest economic sanctions enforced by the United States President Donald J. Trump. The effort will see the cryptocurrency fundamentally pegged to Iran's national currency, the Rial?
I think it's Rial.
It doesn't matter. I can't buy it. In the form of a digital token. Venezuela, like I said before, tried this with the petro, and it was banned pretty much immediately in the U.S.
Yeah.
So sanctions
I
kind of extended.
They've got nothing to lose. I mean, like,
sure.
You've got, okay, we're going to create a currency that can be used anywhere in the world instantaneously with nothing but internet access, and it's very difficult to block, if not impossible. So, yeah, I see this being much more popular with the unpopular countries in the near future. So that's something that it doesn't surprise me at all. The real question is, who's going to accept that cryptocurrency at the other side?
Right.
You know, I mean,
And that was the big question.
Clinton Foundation.
North Korea.
We traverse the same message boards, I see.
Oh, boy.
Anyway,
Not the Star Trek boards.
good
I'm a
luck.
TNG kind of guy.
Good luck switching that to U.S. dollars if you wanted to. That's probably not going to work very well.
Well, first you get the Iran coin, then you switch it to the Venezuela coin.
Oh, you're right. Yeah.
And then you switch it to the,
Right.
You buy gift cards.
Yep.
That's right.
That's right. You get the gift cards and you buy something on Amazon.
I was just trying to use crypto and now I'm laundering money. Oh no. So that's probably not.
Isn't that how Silk Road got founded?
No.
No.
I think it was more just, well,
Oh,
we
that's
gotta-
the drugs.
hey, yeah.
Speaking of Silk Road and
Speaking
drugs,
of Silk Road.
it's almost like you're setting me up to knock these out of the park.
Who loves you?
Nobody. Canadian police seized $1.8 million in Bitcoin from the alleged Silk Road drug dealer. Marijuana is my muse. I only chose this story because I wanted to say the username. That guy.
No,
knows
there's
what
a
he's doing.
very, very important ethical dilemma to talk about.
Yes.
Go ahead, please.
Ethical dilemma being mentioned is his wallets were stored on some SD cards along with some supposed other incriminating evidence. Canada is holding onto those. The dude's saying, hey, I want my $1.8 million in crypto off those drives. And Canada's saying, no.
Yeah, essentially civil forfeiture.
Yep.
Yeah, that's a very big issue, I think, here in the U.S. as well. Civil forfeiture, I mean, accounts for more than all the theft combined in the U.S. per year. So it's I see civil forfeiture as a horribly corrupt kind of practice by governments. But don't ask me. So also, I think it's important to note here that when it was seized, these bitcoins were worth $31,000. They've appreciated in value while being held.
For roughly 4 years?
Right.
3 years, 4 years,
Right.
something like that?
So I'm going to play devil's advocate here and say, what would happen if you were to have stocks and bonds confiscated? I don't know. Would they liquidate them at that point and then keep them in U.S. dollar, or would they actually keep the stocks and bonds as they were if they were somehow to be confiscated from you? Because the growth of the value of the underlying asset, would that? I would argue that you should get the original asset back in its original condition,
Right.
Which would be the Bitcoin.
At 31,500?
No. The original condition being that it's actually I had X
Okay.
number of Bitcoin.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
I want my wallet back.
yeah, I want my wallet back, exactly, with the original Bitcoin in them. I don't think this guy has a very good chance of succeeding, but yeah, turns
It'll
out
be
that
interesting. 'Cause this is
police like their civil forfeiture. Funds them. pretty well.
Speaking of, towards the bottom of this article, there's a link in there related to how back in March, U.S. Marshals had seized $25 million worth of Bitcoin seized from a fella named, I'm going to butcher his last name, Ross Ulbricht,
Yep.
the founder of Silk Road.
Yep.
He was found guilty of a whole heck of a lot of stuff. U.S. Marshals had $25 million worth of Bitcoin.
Non-violent stuff.
Yes, that he was found guilty is the important part because of what they ended up doing with it. Unlike cash seizures, which aren't generally invested in anything, turned around and used to fund things more often than not, the U.S. Marshal Service auctioned off his
Yes.
Bitcoin.
Yes. Yep.
Is that going to be the plan going forward with that stuff?
That has happened multiple times and will likely continue. And this guy's $1.8 million in Bitcoin will probably be auctioned off. If I had to guess, that's probably the end of that story, unfortunately. So yeah, the Ross Ulbricht stuff. There's a petition going on around right now about people. I don't know what a petition could do, but he currently is serving 2 life sentences plus 40 years for having no prior convictions and essentially running a website that he made when he was 26 that facilitated online drug trafficking.
Amongst other things.
Right, amongst other things. He was accused of much more, but one of the federal prosecutors that was, going after him actually ended up trying to steal a lot of the Bitcoin from him.
Oh, no, he did.
And
He
he's
got
in
pinched
prison
for
now.
it, too,
He's
yeah.
in prison now.
Yeah.
But there's a huge campaign going around right now trying to free Ross Ulbricht, I don't know. And it's interesting. A lot of the people who support him point out that, hey, the Silk Road, as it existed, decreased a lot of violence in drug trafficking, and as a pragmatic approach, had a very positive impact overall. However, it's still drug trafficking, which a lot of people feel is wrong and is currently against our federal law. So he probably definitely broke the law, but I feel like the punishment given to him is worse than what I see against murderers and pedophiles. So seems like the crime doesn't quite fit the punishment that was given to him. So
It was likely he's just making an example of him.
I believe you're right. That's probably a good point. Yeah.
I have nothing else to add.
Yeah.
Well done.
Brutal. Questions and answers, of which there is one.
Which is good, because we're coming up on it anyway.
Are you implying that people don't want to listen and watch us for over an hour?
No, I'm implying I'm hungry and I have to pee.
Fair. So the question today comes from Brian. The original question is asking if we personally do use co-location, to which the answer is no. But the question that I will expound from that is it worth mining to a co-location?
So
At a co-location.
Right, so co-location facilities are places where you can put your server and in a rack in a data center and essentially rent space from them.
Space and electricity.
Yeah, and internet.
And maintenance and troubleshooting? And
Usually not. I mean, you could pay extra for that, but
For smart hands, yeah.
yeah,
Okay.
smart hands, yeah. But you'd have to teach them a little bit about your stuff to go through that. But anyway, the question is it worth mining to a co-location facility, that has cheaper electricity than you have, or has more capacity than you have, or doesn't mind the noise of a miner, which is loud and not ideal for home use. So, and can handle the heat.
as some of our customers have noted.
Yes.
Read the description.
Yeah, we have not used any co-location facilities. There are many out there. I don't feel like we can really recommend a particular one unless
I don't think that's what I'm asking. What the answer should be. I don't think we should give somebody a go here.
Yeah.
Is it worth doing? You would have to weigh out your personal electric cost versus the location of the cost. You have to be mindful of available power. So if you only have 110 in your house and the
110
colo can do
yeah.
220, it's going to be more cost effective to run electrical there potentially,
Right.
depending on electrical costs. Cooling, you have to add into that. If you don't have a place that stays cool, like a basement, where you don't mind the noise going, then
Yeah.
there's a lot of factors involved with
Yeah.
this.
So there have actually been some situations where co-location facilities actually stole mining hardware from customers.
Of course there has been.
Yeah, and that's a risk. You have to go with someone reputable. That's always going to be the case,
Sure.
no matter what service you're using.
Don't send somebody a $6,000 piece of hardware
Yeah.
for the best.
Times 100. Yeah. So there's finding someone who's reputable is probably step one, but also they've got to have a co-location facility in a place that has cheap electricity, because that is going to be the main expense. The co-location facility, should be secure. There's theft all over the place for these kind of things. They're in high demand. So yeah, if you can find something that matches that, I don't see why not. It gets a little tricky if you have, hardware failure and you need to RMA something. Usually the co-location facility will have to send you back the device, in which you will then take it apart and find the broken part and send that broken part to Bitmain, for example, for repair. So that can add some extra time. But if you're trying to do this in scale, there's not a lot of better options other than doing it yourself, and that could mean moving to some place with cheap electricity. So that's
I hear Venezuela is very nice.
Yeah,
Very
subsidized.
temperate this kind of year.
Yes.
Temperate. Yeah. Green. Iceland is popular. Greenland. Iceland. One of those.
Iceland's the one we want to be on, not Greenland. Greenland's
Greenland
no
is
way
very nice, and Iceland is covered in ice.
Right, which might be good for mining. So, yeah, whatever. There's lots.
Geothermal.
Someone's at the front door.
Oh.
That must be my food.
We are exposed.
I think that wraps it.
That does. Thank you, Miss Google Lady, for
Perfect, seamless transition.
perfect. Yeah, so that'll do it for us for episode 2 of the podcast. Once again, available at iTunes now, Google Play Music, SoundCloud.
Doesn't matter. They've already heard it.
Oh,
They've already.
everybody's already
We're
heard it.
advertising to the people who've already listened to it somewhere.
Yeah,
Significantly-
so they can spread the word.
Oh, right. Yes.
Yeah.
Organic.
SoundCloud and
Hit the share
Pocket
button.
Casts. What's that to do with organic? What?
I said hit the share button.
Oh, I thought you said, why do you have a shirt on? This got, they got real weird.
And it's minute 57 off the rails. Yes, we've come off the rails, minute 57.
Here's what he wants.
All those channels and more.
Yeah, additionally, if you want to see our beautiful faces while we're doing this, YouTube, Facebook, and that rounds Facebar out.
Yeah. I think
So-
we got them.
Yep, that's it.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Tune in 2 weeks from now, episode 3.
Actually, I think we'll be about 3 weeks from now because a certain person will be enjoying some much deserved time off.
Oh, that's fair.
So 3 weeks from now, it's going to
There's
be
like
a
a
little bit
10%
longer.
chance there will be a really, really bad episode with just me and Jason next week. How's that?
Yeah. Episode 1. Who's Satoshi? I don't know. Podcast over.
Something clown shoes.
All right.
I like it.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.